Commander Zeftar adjusted his combat exoskeleton one final time as the orbital bombardment ceased. The smoking crater that had once been New Haven stretched below their dropships, a testament to the hegemony's overwhelming firepower. After 3 standard cycles of human expansion, the galaxy's dominant powers had finally agreed. Humanity's relentless colonization had to stop. Scanners show minimal life signs, reported Lieutenant Crix through the comm. The orbital strike was effective. Whatever's left down there won't pose a threat. Zeftar's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The humans had been careless establishing their colony on Kepler 442b without proper defenses. Intelligence suggested only a few thousand settlers, farmers, engineers, scientists. Nothing the 47th Extermination Fleet couldn't handle. "Begin landing sequence," he ordered. "Standard pacification protocol. Leave no witnesses." The dropships descended through the planet's atmosphere, their hulls gleaming in the amber sunlight. Zeftar had participated in dozens of similar operations across the galaxy. The Draknari hegemony, Volthan Confederacy, and Zephyrian Empire rarely agreed on anything, but humanity's rapid expansion had united them in purpose. These humans, with their single star system, had somehow produced colony ships faster than established civilizations could track. As the ships touched down on the settlement's outskirts, Zeftar expected to find scattered survivors cowering in ruins. Instead, he found something far more unsettling: organized resistance. The first indication came when his lead scout simply vanished. One moment, Trooper Vash was advancing through the rubble of what appeared to be a medical facility. The next, his life signs flatlined without so much as a distress call. "Defensive positions!" Zeftar barked, but the humans were already moving. They emerged from concealed bunkers that sensors had somehow missed, structures buried so deep they'd survived the orbital bombardment. But these weren't panicked civilians. These were soldiers moving with precision that spoke of extensive military training. The first human Zeftar saw up close was a female, no larger than his forearm, yet she moved like a predator. Her weapon, some primitive kinetic projectile launcher, shouldn't have penetrated Draknari combat armor. It did. "How are they?" Lieutenant Crix's question ended in a gurgle as another human, this one barely an adolescent by their species standards, dropped from overhead cover and drove a blade through the gap in his neck armor with surgical precision. The battle that followed defied everything Zeftar thought he knew about warfare. The humans fought like they had nothing to lose and everything to gain. They used the destroyed settlement's layout to their advantage, turning every piece of rubble into cover, every collapsed building into a kill zone. More disturbing was their apparent disregard for their own safety. Zeftar watched in horror as a human male, bleeding from multiple wounds, charged directly into a squad of Volthan shock troopers while clutching some kind of explosive device. The resulting detonation took out 6 elite soldiers. "Commander," came a panicked transmission from the orbital fleet. "We're reading massive energy signatures planet-wide." These weren't the only humans down there. Zeftar's blood went cold. Through his helmet's display, he could see them now. Humans emerging from hidden positions across the continent. Not hundreds, not thousands, hundreds of thousands. The settlement had been bait. This was never a colony, he realized, speaking the words aloud as the tactical situation became horrifyingly clear. This was a fortress. The humans had deliberately established New Haven in an indefensible position, making it appear vulnerable while honeycombing the entire landmass with underground installations. They'd sacrificed their surface buildings, even some of their own people, to draw the combined fleets into a trap. Above them, the orbital battle had begun. Zeftar could see the flash of weapons fire through the atmosphere as human ships. Where had they come from? Engaged the fleet. These weren't the crude vessels intelligence had reported. These were warships that moved with impossible agility and struck with devastating precision. A new voice cut through the communications chaos. Humans speaking perfect galactic standard. "Attention, invading forces. You have attacked a sovereign human settlement unprovoked. You have murdered civilians. You have violated every principle of interstellar law." Zeftar recognized the tone. He'd heard it before in recordings of other species' final transmissions. It was the voice of someone who had already decided the outcome of this encounter. "We are not the farmers and scientists your intelligence told you we were," the voice continued. "We are the 3rd Human Defense Corps, and New Haven is our forward operating base. Every civilian you encountered was a trained soldier. Every building you destroyed was expendable. Every life you took was someone who volunteered to die to bring you here. Around him, Zeftar's forces were being systematically eliminated. The humans moved through the battlefield like they owned it, communicating through methods his scanners couldn't detect, coordinating attacks with impossible precision. You made one critical error, the human voice said as Zeftar felt his own weapon torn from his hands by a human child who couldn't have been more than 12 standard years old. You assumed we were like you. You assumed we would break. The child's eyes, impossibly blue, impossibly cold, met his as she pressed the muzzle of his own weapon against his chest. Humans don't break, she said in accented but clear Draknari. We adapt. We overcome. And we remember. As consciousness faded, Zeftar's last coherent thought was a warning he would never be able to deliver. The galaxy had not encountered a new species to conquer. It had awakened something that had been waiting for them to make the first move. Above Kepler 442b, the combined fleet's desperate retreat began as human reinforcements continued arriving through jump gates that hadn't existed hours before. The message that would eventually reach every corner of known space was already being composed. New Haven had indeed been humanity's first settlement in this sector. For the three species who had attacked it, it would be their last mistake.